Hello, hi, welcome to March wrap-up. Am I recording this the 31st? I think that's the 31st Sunday. Yes, I have tea. It's green tea. Are we licking the nails? I don't know how to feel about them. They're more glittery in direct sunlight. Okay, it's fine. I don't know if I like them. They're very spring. And I don't think I look good in pastel pink. I think that's the moral of the story. But I technically am in the middle of another book that I totally could finish off today, which is Red Rising, but I'm deciding to take my time. If I read anything else today, it will be reading all of part 3 and then part 4 tomorrow. Right? I'm not gonna finish it today. So I decided to take the time that I have right now to record the wrap-up, including iPad with stats. If you're a person who doesn't like stats like me, just know that I read 14 books, 3,500 pages, and 35 and a half hours of reading. And then below I do the chapter, so you can just figure out where I start actually talking about the books and not about stats for 5 minutes. You're welcome. The books right behind me are digging into my spine and it hurts, and we're ignoring it. Yes, I read 14 books in March. I kind of went through a reading slump, and it was like, I'm loving Red Rising right now. I enjoyed a lot of books I read. Spoiler alert for when we actually talk about stats. 3 of them were 5 stars. But I also just felt annoyed whenever I felt or thought about picking up a book. It just annoyed me. If that makes sense. So this was a slower month for reading. A lot of books I read took me multiple days. Like, there were books that were under 300 pages that would normally take me 1 day of that, and it took me like 6 days. Okay? Hence why a vlog got canceled. Well, moved back. It's fine. We'll talk about it. But I read 14 books. There were 3,534. Technically add about 170 to this because of Red Rising. There's one book that I will talk about that I started end of last year. I only included in the page count and whatnot, and also hours listened because I dual read that one. I only counted the amount that I read this year, which was also the day that I finished it. So, good times. 35 and a half hours. Average rating is 3.91. Every single one so far this year has been a 3.9 something. Which means it's so close to being 4 stars, which is really boding well for me when I have at least half of the year being over 4-star average rating. And I'm sitting at 3.9 for most of them. Well, all of them so far. It's interesting. 2 were rereads, 4 were authors of color. 3 of those may have been manga. We don't need to talk about it. What we do need to talk about is genres. There were 2 fantasy, a graphic novel, historical, 2 magical realism, 2 nonfiction. I forgot I read the Britney Spears also this month. Okay. 2 paranormal romances and 6 romances. 1 was just for audio, which is the one that I just finished. 11 were ebooks and 4 were mixed media, which 3 of which were ebook audio. 1 of them was physical audio, but I don't have that book anymore. We will talk about it. Audience, 8 were adult, 1 was middle grade. The way I forgot about that. And 7 were YA, 2 were debuts, 10 were I've read before, and 4 were new to me. Average, or not average, total ratings. 3 5 stars, a 4.75. I think this is when I added 4.75 in my possible ratings. I blame the manga. 5 4 stars, 2 3.5s, 2 3 stars, a 2 star, and 2 DNFs. Which is where we're gonna start, because the first book of the month was a DNF. I read 12 pages of it. You can kind of see, where is it? It's right behind me. Yeah, it was the third book of the series, which is Southern Sun, Northern Star. I'm going to keep the first one, because that was a gift from Bestie's mom. She bought it for me, and I do really like the first one. The second one, if I were to reread it, I 100% believe I would give it a 3. I think it's sitting at a 4. I don't know. It's in a vlog. The weekend reading vlog. It's what I picked from the jar, and then I promptly DNF'd it, because I went, oh yeah, no, I don't like this. I don't like the characters. I don't like the setting. If it didn't immediately start with a scene in the plains fighting, I may have pushed myself through it. But there wasn't. Like, that's how it started. And the plane fighting scenes are my least favorite. And I was skimming it, and I was still struggling so much for those 12 pages. And then on top of that, the only reason I got through the second one, I remembered, is because I was able to get the audiobook. There is no audiobook of the third one. I tried to find it. It does not exist. It's, like, not on Audible or anything. Like, so, that bitch got DNF'd, and I picked up a new one, for the same vlog, which was the Melanie Cellier, Four Kingdoms series universe thing, which I read the first one, I want to say, was it either March or April of last year, right? And so I read the second one, and it was The Princess Fugitive, which is a reimagining of the Little Red Riding Hood. Barely. Let me tell you, I did both audio and ebook. I think the audiobook narrator does at least a few more in the series. At least the next novella, which I will pick up probably immediately, because it is a direct sequel to this one, because two of the side characters who are cousins and friends of the main character in this one, it's about them and finding love, and it's only like, it's like 3 hours or something. Like, it's easy. So I'm gonna do that. But yeah, it wasn't good, but it was one of those books that's so bad that you can't help to have like a fun time. Like, it's just relentless fun, like Crave, but Crave was even more enjoyable on a new level and 5-star spectacular. I can't believe I read that book in 24 hours accidentally. This was just like, I'm pretty sure I sat and read it in one day. I remember playing House Flipper while listening to the audiobook and just having a good time. Like, it wasn't good. Like I talked about in the vlog, I go more in depth about the plot. It wasn't good. Like, the characterization, especially the main character, the way that like the character growth that happens isn't any work the character does. It's magical fairies. But the romance I kind of liked, but also like it very much wasn't the focus. Like, the focus was the fact, like, she had a thing for him. He clearly had a thing for her, and she recognized that, and then she went, oh, I'm into him, but I have to fight for my kingdom, because like the whole premise is that basically she's also the villain for the first book, which is so funny. But basically her brother starts a coup and assassinates their father and almost kills her. She foils the plan, and so her and her personal guard go on the run to hide, thinking that like it's someone else who did it or whatnot. She initially thinks it's her father who tried to kill her for failures in the first book, and then she learns that her father died in the coup, and so she thinks someone else from the outside came in and like tried to kill her. But no, she then learns from magical fairies that it's her brother who's doing it, and basically it's her becoming her own person and recognizing that maybe she should try to fight against all this bad stuff and whatnot, blah blah blah. A lot of people hating on her. You know, one thing I do appreciate is the fact that despite the fact we got no character growth, we did get understanding on how she was the villain in the first one, why she is the way she is. It makes sense. I get it. Yeah. But basically, when she finds out that or recognizes that she also has feelings for her personal guard guy, she's like, okay, but like, also, my people are in danger, and if my brother becomes king, we're all fucked. So I gotta like do this whole competition to defeat him and become the queen. And so she's like, the idea of romance is like the back of her head. She's like, no, I need to do this for my country. And then someone else brings up the idea after she wins that, hey, you need a king. and you need someone who the people will appreciate. You know, would be great for that. The guy who almost died for you to do these trials, your personal guard, who we all know you're in love with. So like the romance on the back burner, and I like that. It was a good time. 3 stars. Then we have the self-published romance that I read, which is Outdrawn, which I rated 4 stars. The first like 25%. It's an enemies to lovers thing where it's Noah and something else. I forget the other character's first name. I feel like it starts with an S. But it's a lesbian artist thing. Like, they have competition, on, like, an online artist competition thing. And then also they're vying for the same position. Or they, like, don't know that the other person is the one who they're going to be working with until they're both there. And, there was no knowledge that, like, Noah was going to be there, let alone that there was going to be another person working with her, being the artist for this comic and all this stuff. So that's happening. So there's like all this competition stuff. It's enemies to lovers. Very much like Noah. I hope I'm remembering Noah. It's the new one with the pink outfit on the cover, right? They also went to school together, right? And she has memories of the other main character berating her and being rude and whatnot and making fun of her. And you understand why she did that at one point. You like recognize why and how that's just her communication style, but it doesn't connect with her communication style, and so they learn how to communicate together without trauma responses happening. There's also family stuff in the background, and also it's just really cute. Like the first 25 to 50% was kind of slow, whatever, while I was setting it up. And then they got together and there was like a carnival and they kissed at the carnival, I think in a photo booth. And let me tell you when that happened, I ate that shit up. And after that point, it was really good. So 4 stars. It's a good time. Now we gotta talk about the first 5-star, which is it's on High School Host Club Volume 13. I read 3 of them, so let me hopefully remember which one's which. It was in the finishing series vlog, so if you want to hear me talk about it for like 10 minutes, go watch that. But if I remember properly, this is the one where Harvey gets kidnapped and recognizes her feelings for Tamaki, right? If I remember properly. 5 stars. And then I read volume 14 because the way it ended, I was like, I'm gonna go read the next one, right? Which I read 4.75. That's why I added the 4.75 to my tracker thing. Which I think is Haruhi coming to terms with the fact that she has a thing for Tamaki. Also, if I remember properly, one of the twins also has a thing for her and says, hey, I have a thing for you in one of these. And then, so basically, Tamaki doesn't recognize that this whole time he's been having feelings for Haruhi, and there's this whole thing where people trying to help him recognize this, right? And like, while their whole club may be a found family, they're not a family, so like, being with Haruhi won't ruin this family dynamic, right? Like, you don't have to worry about that because like he has trauma, childhood trauma with the breakup of his parents and whatnot and his family. So there's that whole thing. And Haruhi helps him out, helps him recognize that, and it's cute. Is that the one where Haruhi's kidnapped? I don't remember. Just know they're both good, and I rated 13 5 stars and 14 4.75. Okay. Then we have the middle grade, which is the humming room, which is for the podcast, which is one of the ones that it was like right when the reading slips really started, right? And also I'm not definitely a middle grade person, right? So you take those 2 things, and then the fact that it took me like a week to read this 190-page book. Yeah, I give it 3.5 if I remember properly. It was fine. It's like a Secret Garden retelling where Rue comes to, like, her family is murdered and she witnessed it. It starts right after when the police are there trying to find her, right? And she's hiding underneath the trailer. That's great. So she has to go live with a eccentric uncle she didn't even know existed. And there's a bunch of secrets with the island that he lives on in this abandoned children's hospital, right? So like weird things are happening. There's a secret garden underground, obviously. And there's also ghosts. I go into it in the podcast episode because I strongly believe that ghosts were an actual thing in this book. Thank you very much. Next book was the one for the Wings on the Cover vlog that didn't come out this month because it got postponed to April, right? Which is The Valkyrie's Daughter. I was so excited for her, right? I had both the audiobook and the ebook. I was so excited. I read 101 pages of this. I think that's about a quarter of it. And I DNF'd. It took H a long time to talk me into DNFing it. Like, the writing was fine. I have come to realize that while I am not a character-based book type person, if the characters aren't well written, I still won't enjoy it. Also, there's this whole thing where sometimes the way teenagers are written, me as a nearly 25-year-old lady hates it. I can't stand it sometimes. The way teenagers act sometimes in books. I don't know what it is. We don't question it. Just, it was one of those times that irked me. The romance aspect, it's supposed to be like a lesbian romance, but also Asgardian retelling. I heard from some people, I was looking at reviews, and some people who grew up with Norse mythology as part of their growing up and whatnot, go, yeah, this isn't good. Retelling. Is like the author like did a quick Wikipedia scroll, right? Instead of like actually delving into it. So there's also that. I don't know how much of that is true, but there's that. But there's like this whole romance aspect of the main character with this other character who, like, she killed her horse, and there's like this really big tie with horses and whatnot, which is really important. So like, she's in jail because of her, all this stuff. And it's like supposed to be romantic, and I'm just like, no, I don't see it. Also, I'm pretty sure that character is like 20 and she's like 16. Honestly, if it was just aged up to 20-year-olds, I think I could have handled it a little bit better. But also, it was predictable as fuck. I have not looked up if I was right about my predictions of what actually is the plot slash what's happening, why she is secretly the one with all this power who can like see visions and do all this stuff and ride this horse and blah 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 blah. I didn't look up if I was right, but if I'm not right, the real question is how. Because it was literally like, there was a part where she broke into a library and was reading books, and it was blatantly telling you like the exposition of the world, which is very blatantly saying, oh yeah, she's gonna be I almost said Zeus, nope, Odin's heir, obviously. So good times. Not I DNF'd it. It took a lot of work to talk me into that. So after that, I read another disappointing book, but that one was only 84 pages total instead of over 400 pages, okay? And that's Ensnared by the Werewolf by Lillian Lark. Really, everything after the first book has been really disappointing. I really liked the first one. There's a whole entire podcast episode about it. It was great. I really liked that book. And then there was the second novella, which I read last month, I think in February, and it was and then I read the second full-length novel last month as well, and I liked it, not as much as the first one, but it was good. I read both the second novella and the third full-length book in the series this month, and both of them were so disappointing. Ensnared by the Werewolf, 84 pages of just people not no, it is communicating. She does 100% communicate what she wants from the relationship and how she feels about his monstrous persona. And it's just him being like, no, I don't believe you. And causing her to go through all this shit to then dubious consent in the woods. And then him recognizing, oh, you're actually into it? 3 stars. After that, I read The Woman in Me, Britney Spears' book. But I totally forgot I also read this month. I did that one just ebook. Oh wait, we're everyone being really right? That's the exact second. Woman in Me. I like, oops, I did it again. Of course, very important to my childhood. Right? My adolescence, very important. But I was not in the Britney Spears world, really. I remember when Free Britney happened. I think I was in college. I think it was still on campus in college. The very loud sounds of the dog being let out. This is now gonna be cut out. So, like, I was not witnessing a lot of what is talked about in the book, but the way that she talks about it, and the way that the ghostwriter writes it makes me, like, I'm not confused. Like, I understand what was happening, like, the way that she describes the time in her life, why she was doing things, but also the way that the world perceived it. I understand. Like, as someone who was not in the trenches at that moment in time, I still understand what was happening. And so I will give it that. It was very well written because of that. It was very emotional. I don't remember if I cried, but I definitely got very angry and I wanted to throw things. And, yeah, it was good. 4 stars. I highly recommend. Go read it. Heartstopper Volume 5. This is the one that won my favorites of the month. Because the real favorite of the month is a reread, so Heartstopper Volume 5 got it. After having it on hold on Libby for like 2 months, I finally got it. And I immediately read it. In the midst of a reading club. I mean, the depth of the reading slump is it took me multiple days to read Heartstopper. Hello? Like, anyways, it's good soup. The thing is that I did read Nick and Charlie last June, right? For the podcast. So a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the, issues between Nick and Charlie in this one and the stuff going on in the background and whatnot is basically that Nick is going off to uni soon, and he doesn't want to go too far away because he doesn't want to leave Charlie on his own, but also like he should still do what he wants to do, but like he's worried about Charlie and his mental health, and but also like he doesn't know who he is outside of Charlie and their relationship and whatnot, but also sometimes they want the bang. Here's the thing, Nick and Charlie is very much after, like, I think this summer after this book where Nick is just about to leave. So I already knew that they have a conversation about that, like there's like in-depth conversations and whatnot, good times. Also I just remembered while talking about it right now, there's a part in Volume 5 where one of the teachers goes to Charlie and wants him to be head boy, the kid in charge of the class making decisions, blah blah blah, right? And I remember in Nick and Charlie that being a thing, how he's head boy. I'm like 90% sure that's a thing. Anyways, yes, so like I wasn't too worried because like I've read Nick and Charlie, I understand what's gonna happen, so it was just me there for the ride watching these two gays being gay and me being very happy. Okay, I love my gays. And then the other Lillian Lark, Entranced by the Basilisks. Again, it's in the finishing series vlog, so you can like hear me talk about it for a very long time, but basically I was so excited, and the reason why I'm so excited is so disappointing because that part was actually good. This one follows the best friend of the character from the second one, right, who is human but has just learned the magical world really exists because of her being kidnapped by this guy in the second one. Right, so she works at the same place that she does that has both normal human books but also magical books, and she works in book restoration, and so now that she knows about the magical world, she can work on magical books. Her boss, who is like the grumpy, in like secretly just a nice guy, but like outwardly people view him as very rude and angry and standoffish, right? He tells her to fix a book who his kind of on again off again lover gave him right after a fight, and it looks like they're not gonna be together anymore, right? So he gives it to her to fix up, and it causes her to be cursed or blessed by a goddess, depending how you look upon it, to basically become Medusa. So now she can bang snake creatures and have babies with them. That's the whole purpose of it, right? Right? So the whole entire book is her training her magical abilities that come with it, and also starting up a relationship with both the guys, the guy who the book belonged to and her boss, who have passed already. And the guy who the book owned to, this was not planned, but he's all like, oh, I'm gonna totally use this traumatic thing she's going through to make it so that she can fix my relationship with my boyfriend. Like, he knows, like, the whole thing is, like, he's supposed to be, like, trying to figure out if, like, there's a way to reverse it. There is, but she could totally die, which is why it's not really a thing done anymore. Right? And so, like, he basically hides this from everybody. There's also the whole entire, like, victim blaming her for being kidnapped in the second one, and then being like, you know, now you have power so you can protect yourself, so you might as well fucking use it. I'm so angry already. Just think about it, right? Clearly I rated it 2 stars because of this guy. And then eventually the truth comes out, and it's supposed to be like, oh my god. But like almost immediately, like a chapter later, they're like, okay, we forgive you. And I was like, no, you can't, like this whole entire traumatic experience you're like helping her through, but like not in the way she agreed to, which makes this whole entire thing unconsensual if you think about it in a certain way. And it's just gross. And I hate him, which is very icky. And also the fact that he is the non-white character. The main character is, I believe, Latina. So there is that. But like the boss guy is white, so like it's like skirting on the like edges of being possibly icky, right? Like that. Anyways, the relationship between her and her boss, I still love. I still like that. The fact that he has basically no powers, but he is able to use his powers to calm her down from a panic attack, and that is like why she's able to like even breathe right now and all this stuff. It was impactful, okay? Because like, oh my god. Anyways, I hated it. 2 stars. And then I read Oron Volume 15, which I believe I rated 4 stars. This one has a competition. At the end of the 14th, there was also this new girl in school that reminded Tamaki about himself and his relationship with his family. So, she has a thing for Tamaki. Tamaki's all like, nah, I'm good. Right? So Haruhi makes a plan to basically, very similar to what Tamaki always does, to make people realize their own feelings about things and talk about them, right? And in the end, basically, at one point, Tamaki admits that he has feelings for someone else, some other girl, and he doesn't believe that she would ever love him. Talking about Haruhi, he has accepted his feelings for Haruhi. She has accepted her feelings for him. He has accepted the way that he interacts with people and how that is based off of his childhood trauma, and how he shouldn't be doing that anymore. Like, how, yes, they are like a family, but they're not a family. Like, my dude, he recognizes this. He's like, okay, yeah, makes sense, right? He is just like growth. In the past, like in the 3 books I read this month, it's like just growth between all these characters, and it's so good. It's just, this one was just slightly less impactful than the other 2, so I give it 4 stars, but like it's still really good. Also there was like this whole thing where, like, despite the fact that Haruhi totally 100% recognizes her feelings for Tamaki and she's really into him, she still treats him the same, and so it just feels weird because he assumes that she still hates him or doesn't like him because of the way that she treats him, but she's all like, I'm in love with him, but also he's so annoying. And it's just like, there's 3 books left of this series. Yeah, there's 3 books left of the series. Just let my babies be together, okay? Okay, we have to talk about the physical one that I don't have anymore because it's on the way to H, because it's their birthday present for last year in September. And that's Evelyn Hugo, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It's a reread. I kept my rating at 4 stars. Did it take me 108 days? Technically, I think it took me 2 days over 108-day period. I have no words. I don't know why I'm like this. Don't ask questions. It was still good. I don't think it made me cry the last time, if the fact that I wasn't in my made me cry shelf on Goodreads, but I put it there this time because I was crying, and I was like, I cried. In the book, I was just writing, I'm crying. I hope you know I'm crying. I'm crying again. Oh, look, I'm crying. Because of course she has to do the 1, 2, 3 right after each other. Like, why does she do that to me? Fuck you, Taylor Jenkins Reid. I still prefer, I mean, I've only read two Taylor Jenkins reads, but I still prefer Malibu Rising. I am contemplating reading Carrie Soto because it's part of the same universe, right? But yeah, it was good. Another book that I reread is Junkie, that I read June of last year for, I think it was the number generator randomly picks what books I read, and then it was spectacular, and I loved it, and I rated 5 stars. I was worried about rereading it, thinking that maybe you wouldn't impact me the same way, right? All this stuff. But I also wanted to reread it before I read the second one, which I currently have from Libby, and I want to read it ASAP. So like, because like the second one takes off right after this one. The rest of them, it seems like they can, like, same universe but could be read as standalones. This one's like direct sequel, like right afterwards. Like I picked it up to see if it like has answers from the end of the first one in the first like few pages, and I skimmed it and it did not, like right afterwards. I know. So I wanted to reread the first one to make sure that it was fresh in my mind, which is good because I kind of falsely remembered the ending. I thought that Trent leaves Drew at the end, and he does try, but Drew's like, no, fuck you. But this is gonna become important in a minute, because the next book I read was also Friends to Lovers. And here's the thing, I don't like Friends to Lovers. 9 out of 10 times, I do not like Friends to Lovers. And I was watching a Chandler Ainsley video that recently came out, where she talks about how she loves Friends to Lovers. I know this. I'm pretty sure she likes Friends to Lovers, unlike me. And she mentioned the idea that Friends to Lovers works better in a queer romance because there's like the whole idea, especially in this one with Trent, about how one of them isn't out to the other one. That's why they're not in a relationship. And so then, like, there's a good explanation on why they're not together, right? And so then when one of them does come out, then the other one's like, oh, hear me out. You could try making out with me. And then they both get boners, and they're making out in a kitchen, and one of them almost falls to the ground because his knees are so weak from the making out. This is 100% what happens in Junkie. I'd like to remind everyone, this is racing romance. My mom's boyfriend is into racing. Every once in a while, I bring up that the only thing I know about racing is from a gay racing romance, and he laughs very hard. He appreciates that. So yeah, because of that reason, that it works. Like, Trent isn't out, not only not out to Drew, he's not out to himself. He's like hiding it from himself, and progressively from the beginning of the book, it is him recognizing over like a period of like a month or two, oh, this whole time, this thing that I've been hiding about myself is real. And then he tries to figure out to the extent if he's just in love with Drew or if he is actually gay. And then Drew catches him at a gay bar, and then so like Drew's like, okay, I'm not gay, but you could like try kissing me, see if it like awakens any feelings in you. And then they make out heavily, boners happen, and then they watch Terminator. I made a joke to H about I too would gaily make out with somebody in a kitchen and then immediately watch Terminator marathon. And I don't know what that says about me. So they're watching Terminator marathon, and then let's just say Drew gets very jealous against nothing because he thinks there's no way that Trent could have never given a blowjob before because he's so good at it. And it's spectacular. And fuck Connor. And it's just so good. 5 stars. I recommend. Anyways, other Friends to Lovers I read was Love Light Farms. It's a holiday romance. It technically doesn't take place during Christmas, but it is on a Christmas tree farm during autumn. Like, it takes place from like around Halloween, Thanksgiving, Halloween, all the way up until like the beginning of winter, right? So like right in that time period. It's kind of gone popular recently, so I picked it up because it was on Libby. I picked it up. I have the second one on hold because I'm very excited. It's also fake dating, where the main character, whose name I totally remember, I know his name's Luca for no reason. But basically her and Luca have been friends for like a long time. I think about a decade. she has like a tumultuous relationship with her father, who when her mother got pregnant, he just left. And after her mother died when she was like 20, like they met right after, her and Luca met right after her mother died from cancer. So like they moved around a lot and didn't really have much money, whatnot. Finds letters from her dad to her mother that has his address. So she goes to his address, tell him that her mother died, to find the person answering the door is her half-brother, who looks exactly like her and is only 8 months younger than her. So that's the thing. She owns a Christmas tree farm, but like things are going, some suspicious things are happening. She doesn't believe anything's coming of it. Like she thinks it's just bad luck. Totally 100% somebody is trashing stuff on the farm. It's like thousands upon thousands. Like could be, there's like a whole competition with a social media star that is $100,000, and she gets disqualified for that for reasons. But the damages that are done on the farm, they agree to let the guy pay her back for the money, and he doesn't go to jail, but he like can't go back on the farm. Like there's a restraining order. That's the thing. Illegal things happen, and hear me out, repercussions happen because of it. Right? I love that. Me, a bitch who loves justice, loves that. Sometimes you like watching justice happen, okay? So like, it's, the way it's described is that the amount of money that he has to pay back, she will not be in financial ruin anymore, even without that competition money, because that's how much money that guy owns. That's how much damage is done. Right? So competition, to make it seem more romantic, she put on the sign up, whatever, that she owns it with her boyfriend, but she doesn't have a boyfriend, so she decides to fake date Luca to do this. But Luca is very much into it, as in like, this is totally a trial run for a real relationship because we should totally be together, and she views it as, we are doing this for a week for reals, and then it will be over, and basically scratching an itch. But also she has abandonment issues and whatnot, and good times. It was good. Like, I'm not a friends to lovers person, but it was still good enough, well written enough, I like the characters enough to give it 3.5 stars, okay? It was like a 2.5 to 3 for like the first half-ish. That's when things start getting a little bit steamy. Not like full-on steamy, but like there's some heavy petting happening. And I was like, okay, I get it, I can see it. Okay, I'm here for it. So we got a 3.5 for that. It was a good time. And then the book that I just finished 38 minutes ago is Page Boy by Elliot Page. His memoir. I don't know what to say. It's just about his life. X-Men, a good time. I was honestly surprised the whole aspect, because one of the main things I know about Elliot is when he came out as a lesbian, there was like a lot of things on set of one of the X-Men movies where I think it was director basically low-key harassing him on set, basically calling him a lesbian a lot and whatnot. And one of the other stars in the movie talks about it. The one who plays Rogue talks about it, right? Has talked about how that whole situation was very weird and not cool, and whatnot. And so I was surprised that wasn't in it, really. But you know, good times. Honestly, fuck his stepmom. That's the moral of the story. And also dad. Mom's slightly better. Mom took a long time to get into accepting her child, but when she did, she was there, and we love Mom for that. But basically, it's a lot about Elliot Page's journey coming into recognition of his transness, and his body dysmorphia through his whole life, and also the way he was treated by multiple people throughout his life about his queerness, and also how his relationship with his family, specifically his stepmom and his father, and how that, and also like the people who bullied him for his queerness, and how that affects his like relationships now and whatnot, and how he's trying to do better and blah blah blah. It's just good. It's just good. I have seen complaints. There were complaints because it's told in a style where like it will switch back and forth between child Elliot Page growing up, and then like within the past decade Elliot Page. And so I'll switch back and forth a lot. And so a lot of people didn't like that aspect. I didn't mind it particularly. I was like, whatever. But yeah, it was good. We were 4 stars. I don't know what else to say about that. I recommend. It was a good book. I think that's all I have to say about it. And yeah, that's the last thing I read for this month. My Kindle is dying. I'm gonna turn it off now. What else do I tell you? Things happening. Fridays, gaming videos. A lot of the days of the week, streaming on Twitch. Look at me go. Fridays, also podcast. Mondays, reading sprints. Next Wednesday will be the weekend reading vlog of April, which I already know what the book is, and it's exciting. It's exciting. We're happy about it. Also part of my 24 and 24. That's another thing. Page Boy was also on my 24 and 2024. So like, look at me knocking 2 of those books off. So we love that for me. And then after that, we will also then have the Wings vlog, the books with wings on the cover, right? That Valkyrie and Red Rising are in. Valkyrie's daughter. So that's the thing. I don't think there's anything else I have to bring up. Links below to all the things. Do the things if you want to do the things. I'm gonna drink my tea now. I'm probably not gonna edit this for like 3 days, so bye.